Let's look at some of these parabola problems. I'm doing a little different setup than normal because for these problems, you actually have to go into the online homework and plot, in this case, the parabola. Sometimes it can be a little tricky. So with this setup, I can actually show you how to create the graph in the online homework. So let me just show you the problem we're going to start with. So I will try and share my screen, and you can see here's the problem. Find the equation of the parabola described below. Find the 2 points that define the lattice rectum and graph the equation. So it says the focus is at -5, 0. The vertex is at 0, 0. So I already wrote down this information. So let me go do the math part of it, and then we're going to come back. We'll fill in the information, and we'll also have to do the graphing. So focus -5, 0, vertex 0, 0. They want to know the equation of the parabola, the 2 points for the lattice rectum, and then create the graph. For these problems, you always need to plot sort of by hand whatever information you're given. That's the way you're going to be sure that you don't get confused and make a mistake. Don't try and just do these in your head. So these sketches don't have to be perfect, but it will help you make sure you don't make mistakes. And be careful. We're plotting X and Y points. Really slow down and make sure you're plotting X and Y correctly. In other words, the focus is -5, 0. X -5, Y 0. So -5X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y 0. So right here's the focus. The vertex is at 0, 0. So right away, because I know that the focus is always, when I say inside the parabola, this is going to be a parabola opens to the left. And now you have your formula sheet. There are 2 possible equations for a parabola. And this you have to know. One of these is for left and right parabolas, and one's for up and down. And the equation where the y is the squared, this is the left and right equation, where the y is squared and the x is not. So I'm going to copy down this equation. So it is y minus k quantity squared equals 4px minus h. Now hk are the vertex. Well, the vertex is 0, 0. So this makes this equation really pretty straightforward. Now, if I know the value of p, then I have my equation. And p is always the distance between the focus and the vertex. In this case, it's 5. So y squared equals 4 times 5 is 20. Now, once you do this, then you have to make sure whether this should be positive or negative. Now, since this opens to the left, parabolas that open to the left have to be negative. So this should be the equation. In a few minutes, we will type it back into the problem online. And hopefully that should be correct. Now, the lattice rectum points, the lattice rectum is from the focus. In this case, since my parabola is a opening to the left parabola, the latest rectum, are 2 points on the parabola. And what you do is you go a distance 2p. So in this case, I'm going to, from the focus, going to go up 2p, which is actually 10, since p is 5. So I've got to mark 10 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm almost off my graph. And then I'm going to go down 10. 2, 3. Because when I do that, and those 2 points help me to, so this is a pretty wide parabola. So these 2 points is going to ask me for it. So this one, the x is -5. I moved 10. So the latest rectum points is going to be 2. The first one is -5, 10. And then -5. And then I went down 10. So -5, -10. And then after that, in the online homework, I'm going to actually try and plot this. So let me go back to, so let me enter these answers here now. So the equation we said is y squared equals -20x. Y squared equals -20x. Now in this case, they want you have to check it. So that is correct. That's good. The 2 points that define the latest rectum. So I'm going to enter both those points. So it was -5, 10. So I need to put my parentheses, -5, comma, 10, close parenthesis. Now a comma to separate the 2 points, and then -5, comma, -10. So those are the 2 points, and I'm going to check the answer. Now you notice a graph popped up. It says here, use the graphing tool to graph the parabola. So let's talk about this for a minute. This isn't maybe as large as we would want sometimes, but anyway, it is what it is. First thing you have to do, since we are plotting a parabola, you go over here and you choose a parabola. Like this is a line. Here are the 2 choices of parabola. So this one, you can see it's an up parabola, but actually this is the one for an up or down, or they call it a vertical parabola. And this one, which opens to the right, is called a horizontal, which means the left and right. So since we have a left parabola, I'm going to choose this. And all you do is you go plot the vertex. So you find the vertex. For us, it's 0, 0. And you click. And then you choose one more point on your parabola. I'm going to choose the latest rectum point, and it's going to be -5, 10. So I'm going to go -5 in the x direction, which should be here, and then go up 10. So you have to sort of look closely with your eyes. I believe it's right here. And actually, if you look at the top, right there at the top of the little graph, it says click the graph and plot the point, and then it shows me I'm at -5, 10. So that sort of confirms. So I'm going to save it. Once I save it, now I have to check it, and it is correct. Now I'm going to do another problem, and when I graph that, I'm going to try and remember to make a mistake on my graph, and I'll show you how you can clear your work and try again. So let me go ahead and choose another problem. How about this one? So find the vertex, focus, and directrix of the flying parabola and graph the equation. So let me once again write down this information. We will, on paper, answer all those questions, and then we'll come back and enter them into the computer homework. And then we will be forced to plot the graph, and we can see how to do that. Just to do another example. All right, so let me switch to my, let me write down. So they want to know the vertex. They want to know the focus, the directrix, and then we're going to graph this parabola. So let's do this, and we'll go back and enter the answers and then create the graph. First thing you want to do is this in standard form. Standard form means the squared parenthesis is by itself, no coefficients, nothing in front. Turns out it is. So when you go look at the formula sheet, this is going to be the standard equation. And that standard equation is what we use for an up or down parabola. And I can right away notice, it's interesting, there's a negative here. If it helps you, you can think of that as being -1. But since it is a negative number here, we know right now it's going to be a down parabola. So the vertex is going to be HK. Now, if you take my suggestion, which always helps, H is here, I take the number plus, in this case, the addition in front of it. So I think of it as +1. And then when it comes down here, it's always the opposite. And for the K, or the Y value of the vertex, I think of this as -2, and you take the opposite and it becomes 2. So I'm going to go ahead and now plot my vertex. Let's do it over here. So -1, 2. Always make a sketch when you're doing this work, and then when I go back and I can enter the correct information on the computer. So -1, 2, -1 x, y2, -1 x, y2. So there's my vertex. So I know this is a down parabola, so I can imagine in my mind it's going to be like this. Now, let's go find the value of P. If I know the vertex and the value of P, I've got everything I need to complete this problem. So for P, it's -1. So P is actually -1/4. Now for me, I don't really think of P as being a negative number, because P is just the distance you use. So I really say to myself, P is 1/4. So this sketch of this graph isn't going to be the best, because what that says is, from the vertex, since it's open down, I'm going to move 1/4, and that's going to be the focus. So it's sort of crazy. Distance of 1/4 is maybe right here. And then a distance of 1/4, you go up, and that's going to be the directrix. And now if I want to make a sketch of my what I call the spread, which is, they actually call it the lattice rectum. I like to call it the spread. The spread is 2p, 2 times a fourth. It's 1/2. So from the focus, I move left a half and right a half. And then that's, so this is all pretty scrunched. So I know the vertex. From the vertex, I ended up going down 1/4. So the x is still -1. I was here at 2 for the vertex. I went down 1/4. That's like 1 3/4. Let me write that as an improper fraction. That's like 7/4. So the focus should be 7/4. Now the directrix, from this vertex, I moved up 1/4. So I was sitting here, the value of y at the vertex was 2. If I moved up 1/4, that's 2 1/4, which is actually 9/4. So the directrix should be y, the line y equals 9/4. So these are the 3 things I'm going to enter online, and then based upon that, I'm going to create the graph, which hopefully it's precise enough that I can. So let me share. Let's go back to the online problem. So the vertex, -1, 2. We're going to check the answer. Now we said the focus is -1 7/4. Hopefully this will be correct. And the equation of the directrix, I said, is y equals 9/4. Now I'm going to be interested in how this graph works. Actually, before I open it up, let me see if this looks like it should make it bigger. Or actually, let's see what this one does. You see, when you click, you have to click on this to get your tools here, but then it doesn't make it very big. What happens if I click on here? You understand what I'm saying? Oh, it's down here. So let me do this. I wonder if I can, I'm learning this just like you are. Wonder if I can, I'm going to purposefully mess up on the graph because I want to show you how to clear it and start again. So it's going to be a down parabola. So here's our tool. So my vertex was at -1 2. So I'm gonna choose a random parabola that's not gonna be correct, and I'm gonna check it, and you can say it's wrong, and then we'll come back. So I'm choosing a random. I'm gonna check it, and it says it's incorrect. So you come back. What you have to do here is you have to go back down here. You can click on your graph and you click clear. And when you click clear, you confirm you want to clear everything on the graph, and then you can start again. So now let's do it correctly this time. So here's my up and down parabola tool. And my vertex is -1, 2. Now, the latest rectum point, I go down, the focus is, I'm going to go down the focus, which I'm going to move 1/4, and then I'm going to move over 1/2. So it looks like I moved down 1/4 and over 1/2. And this should be my parabola. And thankfully that is correct. All right, so that's how you graph these parabolas. All right. Not too bad.